Just talk a little bit about the work. I mean, you mentioned some of the, the challenges that you run into and all the different, kind of crimes that you guys are investigating, serving warrants on, and all that kind of stuff. But talk a little bit about the work, just, from the day to day. What does it look like, and what are some of the situations you guys are in? And I don't know, where's the job taking you lately?
Oh, that good question. So during COVID, the internet crimes against children underworld increased in Georgia by about 200%.
Yeah.
So much so that our detectives are just drowning in it, and it is it's disheartening in every sense of the word. Just talking with those guys and the things that they have to view, and how often it's coming in. So I kind of paint a picture for you. There's I don't know the ins and outs of it. I just kind of know how it works a little bit. There's a computer software that can kind of intercept some of the IP addresses when this material is traded, right? My department had to turn all. You can filter out some cities, municipalities. My department had to completely filter out most of the city of Atlanta because there was just so much coming in on a daily basis that you just can't even touch it.
Buried in it.
Absolutely. And so
Disgusting.
that 100%. So, and now we have taken a huge interest in that, which has been amongst the most rewarding stuff I've ever done. I'd almost rather go after these guys than murderers. And I've been after homicide suspects. I'd almost rather go after that sophisticated child, sex criminal, just based off of how many people they can hurt online, and how, permanent that is, and how wide-reaching that can be. So that's been a huge one, massive. The human trafficking piece is not going anywhere. I have been fortunate. Not a lot of officers are part of legitimate rescues, but in my previous department and current department, I have been a part of many rescues. And when I mean rescues, it's finding minors and actually rescuing them out of that world that it only ends in a few places. It either someone takes your life, you take your own life because there's no because you don't think there's any escape, or there's some kind of accidental, through like an OD or something like that. But usually there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And so we've legitimately rescued, I had an operation at the previous one where it was a 12, it was either 12 or 13 or 13 and 14-year-old girl that were being used as sex slaves that we were able to physically rescue. I've made contact with minors on some of these human trafficking operations where they've instantly started crying out of joy because we were there and we can get them out now, and they don't ever have to worry about going back if they don't want to, or don't somehow fall back into it. But you can remove them permanently from them. But I would say both of those. Both of those are massive focuses for us, and they have been amazing things to be a part of. And hard things to witness, hard stories to hear. Very, very hard details on some of these, on what people have to endure, and what some of our suspects are, searching for, material they're buying, material they're watching. It's hard for you to believe some of that stuff even exists.
I try to keep a rational and aware kind of mindset around like what could be out there, but I part of me doesn't want to know. Not because I want to be ignorant to it, but because I don't know how that would impact my brain. So having to, and my being, so having to deal with that on a regular basis, I can't imagine the amount of stress, the amount of things you got to take home, things you got to put in a box for a bit, maybe address later, and how often that's happening and what that does. But also at the same time, how that brings that unit together. And to know they're doing the right things and to put the time and the effort into the training, the planning, the detective work, and then the searching for and wanting that success when you get into those environments. And I've noticed, some of the things that you do on social media, you talk a lot about equipment setups, which I think are important, and obviously different than in these situations, probably very much different than what you might see typically on the quote unquote SWAT operation or whatever else. Also the environments that you're in, you might be stuck in a hotel room for a few days, or however long. I don't know. That's just an arbitrary number I pulled out of my head there, but
no, you're spot on.
Yeah, where you're hunkered down and there's a lot of downtime waiting for that moment, that right moment or whatnot. But maybe just without getting into too much detail, and again, there's probably some things we shouldn't be talking about, but I just wonder what that's like and what that evolution has been like for you and the guys on the team.
In terms of the gear?
Yeah, the gear, and also just like the knowing how to approach these things, the evolution of like, we're getting better at this and these are the reasons why.
Yeah, so, getting better at this, I would say my little unit and the actual established investigative plainclothes unit, we are currently firing on all cylinders, right? That particular unit has had a couple of different supervisors, so you have to kind of figure some things out. It's like the new coach coming in, right?
Yep.
You got to figure some things out. But myself and the current supervisor are firing on all cylinders. We have a huge respect for each other's roles, and it couldn't be going better right now. So getting guys operational experience is kind of the big thing. We get them. I get to work with them weekly. It's one of the cool things about being in the training unit. If I'm not teaching, I can actually call in my guys around their schedules, and we can get some training in on a weekly basis. So then you get them some operational, some experience, and a lot of these are done, like you talked about, they're done over multiple days. So the cool thing about that is we get to run a rep of something. Let's say it's a vehicle interdiction. You do a vehicle interdiction. We talk about what went right or wrong right then, and then we load up because we got another one coming. So you get to refine those things very, very quickly because the turnover is pretty quick. It's not like we do one and then I got to wait another couple of months to see if what we went over in the debrief, it's stuck. So we debrief, cool, we load up and we go again. Talk about that one. And it's just the constant refinement over a couple of, so you get good at these things pretty quickly in that sense, which I'm huge fan of. On the gear side, I actually post a lot of photos of what my gear looked like when I first started versus now. And it was just a lot of bare bones looking equipment. I didn't really know what I needed at the time. And I was still also developing a lot of these TTPs and SOPs. Whether you think it's right or wrong, I've developed a lot of these myself, but I still go out and bounce my stuff off of other people and other teams and other units and see what they're doing too, to see if I'm on the right path.